Construction Coach here. In this video, we'll take a close look at spray foam in a can. This is the CFDS1 Hilti foam dispenser gun. I picked this up for the cabin build to spray around doors and windows and smaller wall cavities. I will show you how I go around windows and doors, seal up joist ends, and clean up procedure for the dispenser. Then I will foam seal 2 larger windows at the luxury washroom renovation using disposable cans of great stuff from Home Depot. Finally, a quick walkthrough of the cabin build with the insulation complete. When using spray foam, always shake vigorously before using. If you don't, the can will not produce as much foam. The big difference between this Hilti dispenser or disposable great stuff is the Hilti has way more foam in each can, for almost the same price per can. So if you have larger jobs to do, then this would save some cash. One negative is cleaning the dispenser. If you go ahead and get a non-disposable gun, make sure you clean it perfectly or you will have foam trapped and hardened in the gun dispenser. I'm putting a little foam around these cabin windows, then I will fit wood window jambs in and foam those in tight. That'll probably happen after drywall. Here's a look at some thin cavities that I got to quickly finish in with foam, knowing that it got all the way to the back. I don't think I could have got the fiberglass in there properly, so this is a real handy detail. Okay, we're at the cabin build here, and I'm going to show you why I bought this foam gun and why I need so much foam. I'm trying to really seal off these floor joist ends around the rim board here. Got my poly coming up the wall. Got it in here as tight as I can on both sides, and a flap on the ceiling here. So I can put a bead of acoustical sealant across that's quite easy. In here it gets a little trickier. So what I'm hoping to do, and I've got to check it with the inspector, is spray some of this foam in down the sides and then put a rigid foam in on the face and foam it in down the sides, and hopefully sealing the vapor barrier to the side of the joist. So let's take a look. Now, once I put a bead of acoustical sealant across here, I think I have a perfectly sealed joist end. So the only thing I'm going to ask my inspector is if this should be a rigid foam vapor barrier, or if it's okay that it's non-vapor barrier foam and the vapor barrier is actually the plastic going up the wall. So once I have my inspection for the insulation and vapor barrier, I'm going to determine which way, but I wanted to have one mocked up for him, and I'll probably have one ready to go to show him exactly what I'm talking about to make sure he approves this method. Here's a couple stud cavity spaces that you see I've used the foam spray. Now, I don't like to use it all in one shot, so when applying a second layer, you must wet the surface. I guess it helps with bonding the two layers together. So you can use a spray bottle or just a rag with some water on. But now I can top up the foam that's in that stud cavity to get it flush to the face. I've tried a couple doing it in one pass, and you end up wasting way more foam than is worth trying to do that. So once I saw the recommendation of adding the water to create the bond between the two layers, I was happy with doing a second top-up layer in these areas. Let's get the top of this door sealed up and clean up the dispenser. Use a utility knife to scrape off dried foam on the metal end. Discharge foam can and remove. Attach Hilti cleaner can to the dispenser. Pump the trigger a few times to spray out uncured foam. Wipe the tip and spray some more. A can of cleaner lasts a long time. I will leave the cleaner on until next use. I'm here at the luxury washroom renovation, foam sealing these large windows with great stuff that I picked up at Home Depot. I have a full playlist on the build of this washroom called Luxury Washroom Renovation. Check it out.
Okay, you can see I just ran some foam in around my rough opening. Now, the rough opening here, I was stuck with the existing one. I'm not going to make changes to the existing framing. It was a little out of square, so in the top edge over here, I've got a larger gap to almost nothing over here. Now, something with foaming in your window frames, this is the best way to stop all air leaks in a really heavy air leak area. So in past times, people would just use bats of insulation cut into thin strips and pack it inside. When you pack bats of insulation too tightly, you lose all the R value that is coming with the insulation. It's like putting on 6 pairs of socks thinking that's going to help keep your feet warm, when actually your feet need a sock that is larger in thickness and fluffy. So anyways, batting windows is kind of an old method. I just wanted to show you what I normally do is foam all the way around. Now there is those select areas like what I'm going to have happening up here where there's a very small gap where the hose or the straw that's on the foam can doesn't fit in there. Now don't get sloppy and try to just fill in on the front. These are areas where I would still pack a little bit of the fiberglass insulation in there to get the void filled in a little bit better, and then maybe finish the last 1 inch with some foam that you kind of pump from the front edge. I find it very common, like when I've taken out windows that have been foamed in, that people get sloppy with it. That's why when you saw me do it in here, I go around with 2 passes. I don't try to get it all done at once. So what I'm doing with that is I'm trying to get right into the nailing flange from this side of the home, fill it about 50% all the way around, let it expand a little bit, then go in a second time and fill it up to bring it right to the edge. I find if you go in and you try to do it all at one time, you really use too much, or you're not sure if you're getting into the window all the way because you lose your visual sight of what actually is happening inside the little cavity. So again, go for a 50% fill the first time, come back around and do it a second time. So these are nice and sealed. I'm really happy with that. I'm going to, you can see here, I've got some vapor barrier. You can see here I've got a lot of vapor barrier patches from taking out the old electrical and such. So once I'm ready to go here, I'm going to actually re-vapor barrier or cut another sheet of 6 mil vapor barrier. Now this is probably acceptable, just putting the tape, but when there's so many cuts and patches together, for what the vapor barrier costs, just cut yourself a new piece, lap it over everything, even bring it around the corner, and that way you know you're really preventing any moisture from getting into the walls.
This is an older project I filmed probably 4 years ago, and there has been a code change regarding this red sheathing tape. You can no longer use the red. It has to be the blue tuck tape on vapor barrier. On exterior is where you can use red or blue. So no more red tuck tape on vapor barrier. Public service announcement.
Kind of just a quick update on the installation in vapor barrier. So garage is how it's been finished for a while. Here in the media room, got the R28 all in, working on the end joists. Got my one finished, just waiting for approval from the inspector. And in this great room, got all the walls complete, 100%. Some of the smaller cavities I chose to use spray foam to flush those ones out. I didn't think I could get the insulation stuffed right into the back. You can see there's a few smaller cavities here. Pretty difficult job. Take a look at the ceiling alone. We figure that there was 120 R40 bats installed in this ceiling. And then on top of that, or installed first, was 130 R20 bats. Plus, if you remember, before the bats are in along here, I did do the heel height with the R28. So that was another 15 bats to do both sides. And of course, another 10 up that side. So quite an extensive job. Very happy that it's done. And we're just gonna go through and take a look at everything. You can see I got my sono pan up there. I will be putting Roxo in on this side, and on the other side I'll use furring strips and drywall. That should really stop the sound. Got a really great detail coming in underneath on that floor system and that floor system for soundproofing. Alright, now let's move upstairs and take a look.
Tim Pierce, a Harley-driving, tattoo-loving construction expert who's on a mission to help you do it yourself. From plumbing to electrical, framing to painting, Tim's the guy you want around.
There is unforeseen things like this in everybody's home. Crazy to even bother putting it in if you're gonna do it so crappy.
The construction coach is here to walk you through that home construction project, offering tips and tricks you won't find anywhere else.
This technique can be used all over the place.
Get step-by-step advice from the tools needed to easy-to-understand technique for getting that project done just right.
I think this gives it a really nice clean look underneath here.
Instant access to free video content streamed anytime to any device, featuring nearly 200 videos, 50 hours of content, all sorted by category and task. Who says home construction is overwhelming? Not with Tim.